Today too we are going to start the question and answer session. As usual, we will start the session with written questions and invite Vincent to present the question and get the start for the session, please.
Thank you. Today we have about 22 questions. And 2 questions are written in another language other than English. I'm sorry. It's Greek to me. If somebody would mind to translate that. Randy, will you pass this? It looks like French or Spanish. Spanish. Yes, Spanish. Sorry, I am not able to read Spanish. Okay.
We'll take last and we'll start with the...
Yeah. So the first question for today. Dear Bhante, yesterday you said concentration leads to wisdom. Would you please explain? Thank you.
The lack of concentration is called obsessional defilements. Concentration is covered by the obsessional defilements, namely 5 hindrances. So as far as this is veiling, it is puddling and muddling the mind, it can't see things as they are. So therefore the Buddha says, whenever mind is free of this obsessional kind of defilements or 5 hindrances, it can have a very good see-through. So that is very essential for the wisdom to arise. So if the mind is not concentrated, whatever you see is not the thing as they are. So therefore the wisdom about the things as they are to arise, the mind must be free from obsessional kind of defilement that we call concentrated mind.
Next question. Can we have meditation in train and bus when we have commute to work or to school, to home? Sometimes it is quite quiet in bus or train. We want to have meditation. If yes, do we need to close the eyes when we do meditation in train or bus?
So before coming, I heard that there's a video clip in the Qantas airline. When you are flying, is giving a meditation, mindfulness. So you have to take your seat, and when you are observing, there's a clip, and if you can open it, it's on mindfulness. So I thought, why not to introduce that into Air Lanka, the Sri Lankan airline also. So likewise, and when we are coming here from the British Airways, still there is a clip, not named as mindfulness, but functionally that's the same. So many Sri Lankans living in abroad, they get recordings of the talks. Either they are listening, or after listening they can practice meditation while in commuting in the cars and the buses and the train. So you can make use it. First day, second day, it may not be as much of a success. But whenever you keep on practicing, you will learn the methods, ways and means, how to make use this time.
The next question. Dear Bhante, as I sit, I hear a bustling sound. What does that mean? What should I do? I ignore it, stop and start again.
So some people, if I am got correctly, they call this is the sound of silence. Or some people say it is like 1,000 bells ringing at the same time. Some people say it's like the jet engine sound or mall cricket sound. So likewise, there's a basic sound level. So if we, as far as we are worrying about the gross sounds, we can't go into that. When you calm down the mind, when you go to a certain extent, you listen this kind of a sound of silence. And so far 3 books written and 2 books we have translated into Sinhala for Mindful School children. And it's a very famous, when you read the old religious books, whenever everything calm down, there's a kind of a sound. We call it the sound of silence. What we do is, to get into that, we have this ringing ball. The big one is here, the small one. And for the children, we ask them to sit comfortably. very calmly, silently, and give a gong. Ask them to listen to the last drop of the ringing sound. Some people at the last drop, they go to the sound of silence. Some, not everyone, and they are explaining it. Whenever it happens, mind is so aligned and so coming with the big pitch, and when it is reducing, there's a kind of a sound. And some people say that you feel it, that you meet up with when you go to a snow-capped top of the mountain, if there is no one, and you feel that sounds. And when one of the devotees asking about this from Venerable Jnanarama, my teacher, he told this is nothing, not related to the practice. This is a sign of solitude. It's a sign of contentment. It's a sign of inner peace. But for some other, it is loneliness. Some people take it as a aloneness, other people take it as a problem, loneliness. They feel lonely. And tinnitus, they go for the clinical medicine, medical practice, medical, to take medicine for that. So that is a kind of a area related to the sounds. And in Beethoven music, and one day he start with the big pitch with the heartbeat and reduce to the nothing. And keep the listener few seconds without any music, and then again start very slowly. The best part of that symphony is that no music. You are listening to your own music. That's the best. So musicians must know how to listen to the sound of silence. And when you go to the forest and when you are living alone, that if you can master it, you can get it throughout the day. It's a very good sign of solitude. So therefore, try to familiarize with it. Don't get frightened about that, and take it as a sign of solitude.
Dear Bhante, what is the difference between mindfulness and focus?
The focusing power is adverting power. There are three mental aspects with respect to the Theravada presentation: Vitakka, Chetana, Manasikara. Vitakka also, whenever you have so much of items, you can divert or advert your mind to one particular thing by naming it, by labeling it. That's also kind of a focusing power. And the volition, will, also have the same character. Whenever there are a lot of things, you are volition-wise, your will goes to only one thing, or it is naturally going, or you send it. Will also doing, the volitional sankhara also doing the same. Manasikara also help directing to one particular thing. So these three are the three mental factors we have in mind. And if we are not restrain them, discipline them, they will direct according to their own agenda. By meditation, we are using them, the directing power, to a neutral object, to your primary object, verifiable object. And when and where you are there, in the desired object, mindfulness is the one you can verify whether you are in the desired object. So it is functionally two different things. And direction is necessary, vitakka is necessary for mindfulness to arise. Whenever mindfulness intact, the mindfulness and the wisdom going to say, yes, this is what I wanted, now I am there. Verifiability is coming to the mindfulness. So therefore they are going very close by. So in Mahasi meditation system, the labeling technique, when so much of objects are there, you label the desired object, so to say in-breath and out-breath, your primary object, or the rising and falling. Whenever you note it, that's a kind of a direction, given into the direction. And whenever you are with in-breath and out-breath verily under your very nose, mindfulness is the one arising in your mind, it is with the face-to-face with the object, desired object, then you can verify it. So this is how Sati, Vitakka, Chetana, Manasikara, they are working together. This is the way we can put into words, but by practicing, they may evolve by one. So Western mind is really sharp in discreting and discriminating them, and that is kind of a theoretical knowledge where you can pass it. But when you, very difficult to separate them in reality. They are working in a group, in a matrix way. So question is valid. This is the way I can answer it. You may start with and continue with your own techniques, and there you may use how the directing power to facilitate mindfulness. This must be the aim of the yogi.
Dear Bhante, in the analogy with samatha as an anesthetics and vipassana as surgery, samatha or concentration seems optional. Does that mean that one can develop only the first 7 factors of the Eightfold Path and attain Nibbana? Is the last factor of the Eightfold Path, concentration, optional? I wonder if the distinction between samatha and vipassana is specific to Burmese tradition, because I have never come across it in the Sutta Nikayas.
The Sutta Nikaya also, so in the canonical, this thing also, Cheto Vimutti, Panya Vimutti, the 2 methods. Cheto Vimutti means the samatha is the most prominent part, the vehicle. And Panya Vimutti, wisdom is the vehicle. So it is there. And Burmese way may be because they are very specific in Abhidhamma and analyzing the mental factors just like the Western mind. And they are also giving a very discreet. And I found, without getting into that kind of argumenting, emphasize on mindfulness. And the mindfulness knows where to lead. Just like roots growing to the fertilizer and to the water, root knows. Likewise, when you are try to be mindful, according to your personality trait and according to your sansaric perfections, it will lead. Theoretically, very difficult to give a very clear-cut answer. But whenever you go to Eight Noble Path, the presentation is different. Up to the Eight Noble Path, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, that is to say moral restraint, concentration restraint, and the wisdom. So whenever it comes to the Eight Noble Path, wisdom restraint comes first, and then moral restraint, and then come to the concentration restraint. So this changing of the presentation is very difficult to explain in lenient way or academic way. That is how it is happening. So whatever the wisdom you develop, it in reciprocal, it come and help concentration. Whatever the concentration you develop, by removing of the obsessional defilement, it return and back help concentrate wisdom. So likewise, they are working together. You can't separate them as such. But as a presentation is concerned, early part in your meditation, concentration is leading to wisdom. Whenever it comes to the Noble Eightfold Path, wisdom appears first, and then moral restraint, and then the concentration restraint. So therefore, very difficult to give in a lenient way. Whenever you are going to do, it is confusing. But each way is, if you keep mindfulness intact, they adjust themselves according to the pragmatic way without giving much of a theoretical understanding or repercussions to the practitioner. Therefore, better to be mindful. But later when you are reading different suttas or different instructions, with your practical understanding, you can understand the circumstantial value, which one comes first and which is follow.
The next question. Dear Bhante, good afternoon. How do we deal with the growling of our stomach during meditation? The rumbling, I think she's referring to. Noise.
The stomach trouble.
Yeah, rumbling.
So that is called air element. If you do enough walking meditation, it is a direct answer. More do the walking meditation, the air element will calm down. And the other thing is, use that rumbling noise as your object of meditation. The close by person may complain, but you can use it. So whenever any disturbance happens, any turmoil happens, any pain happens, any sound happens, you must know how to make use it. Then anything happen become your path and the path factor. So therefore, whenever it is happening, don't try to get rid of it. Be aware of it. This is the air element. So sometimes, whenever the air element becomes prominent, the other three elements are very calm. Earth element, heat element, and the water element. At a given time, one element is prominent. So that's very good because it is suppressing three elements. You have to only deal with whatever the prominent and take this as your object of meditation or sign of your mindfulness. And then more and more turmoil and tumbling happen. You'll be more and more mindful. So you can't complain. I am putting in this way. I say these are the result of your meditation, result of your mindfulness, because you are thoroughly be sensitive to the body, and you feel even the tiny thing happens, you feel it. And if you are going to take it as a complaint, it becomes negative. You develop hatred. Take it as a sign of mindfulness or endowment of mindfulness, and be aware thoroughly about what is happening as the element. And physically, by giving physical exercises, specifically walking, will be an answer partially.
Dear Venerable Bhante, thank you for your efforts to teach Dhamma to us. Today, during the lunchtime, we saw a lot of visitors. I felt I was more distracted or watching visitors than usual. I remember the Dhamma talk and brought my mind back to the body and present moment several times when I noticed that I was watching what the visitors were doing. Question. You indicated that if we are mindful before and after a defilement, it gets cancelled out. What is the time frame for this, please? How quickly do I need to bring the mind to safe ground before the defilement gets validated? May your liberation continue with ease.
So the whole distraction, you can take it as a one unit, and before going to the dining hall and while you are getting out of the dining hall will be the checkpoint for whether I am mindful or not. But if you are really sharp, you can see amidst of visitors, amidst of eating, occasionally there are some points, there are some moments, you can be aware that I am eating, that I am sitting. It is not a big chunk. It's a lot of episodes. Each and every episode reduce the momentum of the development of defilements. So more number of episodes, it become a piecemeal basis, easy to do. So try to increase the number of mindful moments amidst of all the kind of distraction. And there you are training yourselves how to be mindful at home, not in a retreat atmosphere. And whenever you consider everything as one unit, you become defeated and the distraction become very magnanimous and big. But when you cut into number of episodes, you find it is palatable. You can deal it with. This is called reductionism or vibhajyavada. And if you are really sharp, you can see, even though mind is complaining, occasionally mind come back to your primary object, the eating moment or your sitting posture, And they are in between two thought moments, mindful thought moments. Whatever you see, good or bad about the others, will be null and void.
Dear Bhante, what is the difference between breathing meditation and insight meditation? I have been practicing breathing mindfulness meditation. What do I need to do it differently for insight meditation?
So if you can explain, when you are doing breathing mindfully, what did you come to know? That only I can comment upon. Because the mindful breathing can lead to both the sides. What you experience, what is your under-the-nose experience, if you can present it, then I can come into the dialogue. Otherwise, you have to keep in mind, mindfulness on breathing is the only one subject, one object. In meditation can lead to both the concentration and wisdom. So when you are doing, what did you come to know? What did you experience under your very nose? And what you are expressing indicate whether mind is inclined to concentration or vipassana. So please include that part of your experience. Then it will be very informative and easy to discuss.
Dear Bhante, when I have physical pain from a certain posture, there is a location in the body that seems to be the source of pain. So I bring my mind to that location. Then I realize that the painful feeling is not in that location, but it is just feeling that I have within me, and I cannot locate it. So when we watch painful physical feeling, how do we do it?
So that is that whenever feeling, the painful feeling happen, if you are making escapism, the painful feeling become the winner. But instead, if you face it, you find it has different facets. It has no location. It is not a single feeling. It's so much of things are happening, so slowly you can understand the natural characteristics of the pain. I mean, different shapes and different manners. So this is why it called the pain can lead to either to desire or undesirability in default way. If you face the pain, if you face the painful feeling, you are gaining a lot of information, wisdom, and that is happening under your very nose. So Vedana lead to Tanha, Vedana lead to Panya. It is up to you. Whenever it happens, whenever the feeling is handleable, not very deep feeling, excruciating, but a small feeling and middle feeling, just be with it and see whether it is like cutting or burning or twisting or piercing or one place or number of places, places are displacing or exactly the same place like collect information as much as possible, then it becomes quite a source of information. That is the way pain leads to wisdom. So this is a kind of a good effort towards that. And next time go prepared. When your pain come and disturb, don't consider as a disturbance. Take this and see all the possible shapes and the manners, and then you can understand. More you go deeper, more you spend with time, your immunity increasing, the inflicting power of the pain reducing. So it depends on the time, it depends on the experience of you.
Dear Bhante, mindfulness of feeling seems very difficult for me. I am confused with skin sensitivity and feeling. For example, when I eat, my tongue touches the food and I first have the hardness of the food and then I taste bitterness. Then I swallow the food. Where is the feeling? Is hardness, bitterness, sensitivity or feeling?
So that is why beyond the throat, you can't feel food. Only you can feel as far as it is in the mouth. So when it is there are 6 kind of tastes, the bitter, the sweet, astringent, hot, sour, salt. So when you are moving and macerating, you can feel it. And then Whenever it beyond the throat level, you can't. So that is how the outer skin only, you have the nerve sense to get the feeling. Whenever they are go inside, it is not there. So when we embryology, we understand that how the outer skin come in the cells, and that is only related to the nervous system. And eating or any other kind of thing, that there are some areas you don't feel. Hair, teeth, nails, bones, they don't feel. We can't feel it. We feel only the outer surface. It is a defense system. So it's of course confusing because so much of information. So don't rush into, keep on doing, and then ultimately information will get organized in such a way, appear like a servant. Whenever you try to start the exploration, appear like endless amount of feelings. Lucky enough, we do same thing number of times a day. Whenever you keep on practicing, they get aligned as the time passes with experience. So even if it's confusing at the beginning, please keep on continuing in a regular way, the regular manner. Then one day you can take it under control.
Dear Bhante, good afternoon. Method question. When I am sitting, I usually know that I am sitting. So too when walking usually. If the mind wanders on a tangent, I sometimes name it and sometimes follow it. However, over time, I have developed a sort of muscle memory reaction. Sorry. If walking, I stock still for several cycles of breathing. If sitting, I use a great intake of breath and exhale to reset. As I say, it's now almost automatic, but I wonder if it is skillful or another of many forms of spiritual bypass.
Yeah, that whenever it becomes very fast, you can't catch it. You have some kind of pausing, but system itself has. Sometimes you do it, but later on when the mindfulness becomes higher and less amount of objects, situation under much control. If the number of objects too much and the mindfulness is weak, you have to do this kind of pacemaking. But therefore it says, maintain a lifestyle in such a way, at a time, little amount of objects, but the high level of mindfulness. So situation come under control, their meditation become effortless. This is a kind of interference or applying effort. It's okay at the beginning, but later you will learn. For example, when you are riding a push bike, if you are learning, occasionally you have to keep the leg down and get the balance. But when you learn to gain a certain amount of speed, the balance get its own balancing. When you bend to this side, it will bend to other side. At the beginning, while learning, you have to get balance from the keeping the leg down and kind of thing. So that's the way. There's no other way. It's only trial and error method. So this is also the same. The day you learn how to practice without pausing like that, that indicates the mindfulness is gathering the momentum and things become slowly effortless.
Dear Bhante, what is the difference between a sin and breaking of the precepts? If Christians don't believe in the law of cause and effect, do different spiritual laws and karma apply to them?
No, there is no, in humanity, there is no Christian karma theory or Buddhist karma theory. It depends on your belief. So, leave aside the karma and the karma result, just listen to Sir Isaac Newton. Each action has a reaction, equal and opposite. That's it. If you hit the wall, you will get pain. If you hit the air, no pain. So you can, hitting now and feeling later, then there's a theory behind. But when and where it is happening, equal and opposite reaction is always there. So don't go the Buddhist framework or the Christian framework. Just see this world is interconnected to each other. Whatever you do, you have to bear the results. Whatever you sow, you will reap the harvest according to what you sow. That is accepted there in all the religions. So it is when you go into very tiny reductionist way and shifting, doing now and getting the results later. Now you sow seeds and you reap the harvest later. Then what is the difference between this sowing seed and the seed you are going to harvest? Is it exactly the same or different? So likewise, even the Christian theory, 1,500 years ago, there were some kind of acceptance. But later only they convened not to accept it. So they are sometimes a decision or sometimes a reality. But when you come to the present moment awareness, we need not any kind of a Buddhist or Christian or whatever it may be. You can see whatever you are doing, accordingly the results are happening. So therefore the sin, I think it is coming from the Christian and Catholic terminology. In Buddhist way, we call merits and demerits, skillfulness and unskillfulness. So likewise, different terminologies are there. But I would like to refer to Sir Isaac Newton's 3 rules. When a particle is moving along the space without a friction, it's always straight. If something hit against, it changes the path. According to the hit, equal reaction appearing. That is religion. It is scientific way, the mechanical way. Same thing happening in the mind also. So when you keep on practicing on the materiality and when you go to the feelings, there you can understand situation is more mystic than the reading, materiality. But later, slowly you will comprehend there are some universal laws. Very difficult to categorize them into the Buddhist or Catholic. So how is your belief system changing from early meditation to the later meditation is different. So therefore mindfulness, when we are defining, it says choiceless awareness. Be aware without much choice, without much preconceived ideas, without much premeditated ideas, then Dhamma the reality can come. If you are looking from the tinted glasses like premeditated ideas, same thing will repeat. So let the mind to be open, keep on practicing, and later you will understand the action and reaction theory in the materiality in non-material sphere also.
Dear Bhante, is praying the rosary with devotion can be considered as mindfulness? Thank you.
Brain.
Praying with the rosary.
Praying, yeah. So whenever you are mindful, they are not applicable. Mindfulness means doing nothing and observing. Whatever you do is a turmoil. Of course, in sitting, you do nothing. You just see what is happening with the non-volitional, non-willful way. In walking, you do only one thing, just walking, not to reach somewhere, just pacing up and down and see. So whenever once you gain the mindfulness with just being, then you can understand by praying, using a rosary, how much it is reducing your tension, how much it is reducing your frustration, so much so you can use. But whenever you are learning mindfulness, you are learning the art of doing nothing. So it is put in a positive way, just being. When you become more and more learning just being, it is not a science, it's become an art. So how many times you have to test, do trial and error, just let the thing happen and see from as a distance observer, as a neutral observer. That is the starting point of this vipassana or the healthy mindfulness.
Dear Bhante, can you please explain the law of cause and effect in terms of relationships, illnesses, good or bad fortune, and reincarnation? Why do some beings have to undergo abuse, poverty, famine, wars, lack of education, respect, rights, opportunities, freedom, while the others with no special skills or talents enjoy peace, prosperity, royalty, and consciousness life? Thank you.
So in the overall situation, everyone is suffering. You meet any genius person, he may be genius, but his wife will say, he is not a human. That is what the genius, all the people. He says, he is a genius, but I need a wife, I need a husband. He is not a good husband. So all the abilities and things, people are suffering. So some people say he is deprived, but even the well-achieved people also suffering. So therefore, karma and karma theory is according to your volition. Chetanaham bhikkhave kammam vada. What is the volition you entertain? Accordingly, you interpret things are happening. So, learn at least 1 minute or 1 breath or 1 second or maybe 5 minutes. Without a volition, let the thing happen. Without giving an interpretation. Without giving a label. Without giving a chance for the perception. Then things have no any inflicting power. Unless otherwise you label it. So it's a deep thing. So to make yourself comfortable, make yourself qualified, make yourself prepared, just let the thing happen without labeling if possible. I know it is difficult for the beginner because our mind is always with the labeling. So whenever you label only, thing become inflicting or thing become comfortable. So therefore, world is the same. Two people interpret different ways. So karma and karma theory are totally depending on your volition. That is why the Buddha put it in a simple formula, Chetanaham bhikkhave kammam vada. So therefore understand what will happen if we sit 1 or if we sit 5 minutes without chetana, without a volition, just let the being happen and observe and keep a bookkeeping, bookkeeping, and then you can understand, you can give either way. It's a good or bad, according to your mood, according to your volition. So keep the volition as the core factor, deciding factor. So isolate the volition, and then you can understand little bit of karma and karma theory organically, here and now, rather than from the book knowledge.
Dear Bhante, would you be open to teach and lead the power of mindfulness in economics retreats at American universities? This will help the faculty, students, and university staff to become aware of how their consumer choices and interactions with others can improve as they practice mindfulness and simplicity. It will reduce the carbon footprint in the world, the killing, harming of animals, humans, insects, increase loving kindness and compassion, giving and sharing. Thank you.
Teaching is one thing, learning is another thing. Whether you're going to give, whether they will take it or not, I have no any control. So therefore, see the supply and demand theory, even in one split second mindfulness or in the society at large. So whenever I am talking with the interfaith leaders, I share with them, they say, knowledge is always there. Knowledge is not the lacking thing, but you select what is suitable for you, what is giving the frills and thrills for you. So the teachings are there. So first, in this sense, the Burmese master says, first lead your life as for the utility value as possible and live in such a way, setting an example. It appears like it's selfish. And when that is successful, then you can teach. One day, the Mahatma Gandhi, I think you would have heard about, the Indian master. He used to learn in England. And while he was learning, he has hired a room. And the the owner of the house, mother, came and asked, my child is eating sugar all the time. Please, can you pass him a message or tell him not to eat so much? So Mahatma Gandhi never gave any answer. 1 month later, again the mother came with the child and told, I remind you, I told you, please advise my child, he is eating too much of sugar. This time also he has not given any answer. 2 months later, again she went there, the same complaint, and there he told the son, when you are eating sugar, a little bit, no problem, eat it long time and keep it with saliva so its impact is less, and reduce the amount as much as possible, or as according to Gandhi's words, drink all the solids and chew all the liquids. Then the mother told that, why you are not advising this child now 2 months? Now only you advise. No, Gandhi told, I am also a person eating too much of sugar. After you give me only, I started. After 2 months now I am under control, then I can teach the child. Earlier I was trying myself to learn. It's a fact, it's known thing. But without your own first-hand experience, if you are going to teach, this is what you call the education in the present day. They are not worrying about what they are teaching. But if you are really experiencing, first experience yourself and see whether it is practical, see whether it is tangible and it is pragmatic, then only you have to go. And knowledge-wise, now each and every computer, you can go and gain any kind of knowledge. Which one you select according to your choice. So therefore, I think my coming to America and the Chuan Yen is quite enough. Rather than going to the university, and why don't you all take the message, because you all are Americans. You know what you are eating. When I am coming, a lot of Sri Lankan people bring foods, Sri Lankan foods. That's why on the weekends, so much of visitors, so much of Sri Lankan food. So what I am going to talk about Sri Lankan background, Sri Lankan culture, also communicate the cultural gap. So I hope one day the Americans themselves will learn it and share it with others, rather than we are also doing kind of a thing, but we are not going the society at large. But in Satipasala, in the schools, I am very keen if I can have access to the young children. From the grade 4, 5, 6, 7, then I personally go there. I will share with them, and as much as possible. So I take it as an adventurous thing, rather than teaching to the grown-up people. It is simply hopeless. Simply speaking, hopeless, because you are hard and fast. Very difficult to reshuffle, very difficult to accept it. So therefore, with the help of the elders, we have to pass the message to the younger generation, and they are very receptive, and they are very creative. So please give me a chance to visit the younger children. If it is so, I will come walking from Sri Lanka.
Dear Vante, I found your comparison of animals to certain traits and behaviors helpful. So far we have tamed about the cat, tortoise, fish and owl. I was thinking of the sloth in terms of slowly, mindfully and silently this morning. Any other animals we can learn from?
Snails,
Buffaloes,
and a lot of things. And when the Buddha was giving sermon, he takes so much of example from animals and agriculture and animal husbandry. Because they were very, very common and down to earth. So I have done agriculture. So I find the Buddha is very familiar. And there's one book written by Helmut Hecker or something like that, all the parables of the Buddha. Not only for the slowly, mindfully and silently. And when he says it is cosmic, everyone can understand. because it is with epithets and the parables with animals. And if you read with the parables of Aesop, I don't know how that pronounce it. Aesop. And when you are reading the Nasruddin stories, and in Asiatic countries also we have a lot of stories related to animals, and very interesting. So I see one diagram is also there, and one person is lying down on the turtle, and turtle is going, and the person is very calmly sitting down. So we use in our Satyapasala book, each Friday we teach one of these games for the children, how to be slow, how to be mindful, and how to be silent. So we take a lot of animals.
Bhante, the rest of the questions are nothing to do with practice or Dhamma. They are related, they're asking questions about monasticism and the supernatural powers and family issues. Shall I go on?
So we'll read something because we have 10 minutes.
Yeah. What happens to children who aren't filial, loving to their parents if they take monastic vows? Should one take care of their parents or cultivate in a monastery, teach and perform good deeds in the world instead? Do we incur bad karma by following our heart and free will?
So in this trip I met with one monk. He says he tried his best to introduce mindfulness in the Sunday schools. We have Sunday schools in Buddhist children, and many are not interested in. So he went in very deep. Why? It is being given free, and why the parents are not happy. And his discovery was they are sending children to the Sunday school to have intercultural marriages. Understand, in the school, they can understand the boys and girls come together and they can marry. So they will not go and marry American partner. Instead, they will marry within Sri Lanka. That's the one aim. The second thing is, they must pay respect to the parents. They are learning at the Sunday schools. So these are the two things, not to Nibbana, not to get mindfulness. So therefore, the parents' idea to send them is to teach them. And when I was in New Zealand, His Holiness Dalai Lama came. And he gave a talk about 15,000 in the audience, and I also was there. He says, each and every child is hating their parents. It's a fact. So, we have to be very careful not to have that kind of idea. So he says that something like mindfulness and kind of thing, developing a new relationship with parents. And we in mindfulness in Sri Lanka, one day went to a Colombo school, and of course not me, some facilitators, and we took 1.5 hours, and after the 1.5 hours they went back to the school, and there were some parents remaining, and the facilitator had a free discussion with the parents, and the parents were so amazed, and they are somewhat envious, because children are talking so openly with the facilitators, they are not talking like this at home. And told, please, this is a very good way, you are opening them. And a household atmosphere, a relationship is not much free for the children. So now I am reading that adolescent psychology to see how can we can give a chance for the mind, the child's or adolescent mind, to open them up rather than brooding and pent-up energies with the parents and with the situation. The mindfulness appear like a kind of a new way of communication, and they start singing, they start writing poems, and they start kind of thing whenever they are mindful. Otherwise with the parents, there is a kind of a miscommunication. And I don't know how far it is correct. When we were young, we have our fear to the father, and we were very friendly with the mother. Now, His Holiness Dalai Lama says, now children's, earlier their hate was the father, now it has gone to the mother for last 40 years. I don't know whether you will agree with me or whether I am making an unwanted remark. And this is the way we have to see their trends and try to give chances not to get pent-up energy and to do mindful games and kind of thing. And otherwise they will go to the electronics, go to the tabs and the computers and all the kind of thing, because there is no way out. So I am coming out with this idea of mindfulness, and it is so far so good in Sri Lanka. So far so good in Sri Lanka. Wherever I go, I see possibilities and opportunities to be with children and just give mindfulness without any religious bias. Just give the secular way and don't wait till the tension or frustration to arise. Give it in a therapy, preventive way. You see kind of opening. I don't know whether it will be a universal answer, but I am happy to present it. But the support from the parents are not up to the mark till now. Parents do not understand how this kind of mindfulness is going to answer this kind of a question. So I am ready with the answer. So we'll work it further and see will it be a universal answer for this question, not only with the parents, but any kind of hate we are developing with or unsatisfactoriness with the other things. So be mindful yourself and teach mindfulness as much as possible to the child.
Dear Bhante, I have been living with this person for the last 27 years and he is being very negative and every day he verbally abuses me. What can I do? We have one daughter together. Please help. Thank you.
So you must have some kind of a contribution for him to maintain that bad character. Otherwise, how can he maintain 20 years that bad character? They should have a partner. Any mistake have two partners. You can't attribute to one person. So therefore see how you, in your way of mindfulness, your way of choiceless awareness, not to aggravate that kind of a situation and not to get the backlash from that, and to behave and be with him as much as possible without provocating. And that will be a real productive thing to keep you mindful all over the day. And I read one book, it says Empowering Women for Power, and there are that 13 females are talking, and one girl came to me and he talked to me and he says that her husband is so and already has gone and dead and everything. And when he was in near the altar and talking about her own God in the Sikh religion, belief, idea came, the day you give, the day you pardon him, you are relieved. Just give the free offhand pardoning. It is his character. Why should I worry about? And then onward, you are just like a bird. You can entertain your own life. So, if possible, read that book and see our contentment, our solitude is not depending upon others. Once you develop a certain amount of mindfulness, you can be free, you can be contented, you can be solitude, even amidst of all the kind of thing. But of course, for that, you must have a fair consistency in mindfulness, or how do you call, pertaining, continuous mindfulness. Then this kind of a negative thing will be a kind of a stimulation, or that is catalytic effect, not to react, but to take the message and take it a sign for your mindfulness, because it is happening free of charge. You can use it. But for that you must have steadfast mindfulness. So develop as much as mindfulness and try to behave in such a way not to react, not to assume, not to retaliate, but get the message and not to express yourself. Then it will be an answer for both the sides. That's the way theoretical I can handle it.
Dear Bhante, how can one figure out when it would be the right or appropriate time to become monastic?
So that's why yesterday I mentioned, meditate till according to the present setup. Because already you became mindful, it's a great achievement. And make sure it is growing. And when it's growing, whether you become monastic or not, both equal, that is the time you are ready to become a monastic. Before that, if you do, it is immature. By becoming monastics, you gain nothing. But when you are developing that kind of equanimous mind and balanced mind, whether become monastic or not equal, that means your mindful knows how to ride the wave, how to be on the ball. That is the time to be there. Because many people, they go to the monastic life without that preparation. So ultimately they are between two worlds and desperate, not that world, not this world, and suffering. So whereas you being in the life, already in halfway now. Make sure, up to the mark, whether become monastic or not equal, that is the time, theoretically, we can say, at the maturity.
Dear Bhante, if right view requires hearing it from another and careful attention, how did Siddhartha attain right view or discover the Dhamma without the help of a teacher? Did he hear it from the two teachers that he studied under?
No, that is why he called Samma Sambuddha, is self-enlightened. And on top of that, he has another character. Sambuddha means self-enlightened. Samma Sambuddha means he can become self-enlightened and teach others. That's a great thing. There are some Sambuddhas, that's called Pacceka Buddha, they can become enlightened, but he can't teach. There's such a profundity. But the Samma Sambuddha means he can teach. So he is the first Kalyanamitta or the revolutionary person evoked. So that's why we respect him. All the others cannot. He did it with his perfections of the past lives maybe, and he never give up. Everyone do not have that. So therefore we respect him, telling Samma Sambuddha, because he is self-enlightened and he can share it with others also. So we are better off because his teachings are available. So we have to listen, we have to attentively listen and put into practice. Then we can not go up to the Samma Sambuddha level, but we can go up to the Buddha level.
Dear Bhante, can you please clarify why the Buddha advised the monastics and laypersons practicing the 8 precepts not to consume solid food after noon? Is there any medical purpose or benefits behind this rule? Or is there any other primary reason? Thank you.
That whenever you are reduced to 2, evening, whole time you can meditate. And the other thing is, the eating makes so much of diseases. And obesity and cholesterol and diabetes and less disease with less food. More disease with more food. So, of course, at that time it was not much of a question. So, therefore, more you restrain and you get enough chances and mind also free, time also free, you can do it. So, therefore, at the beginning he never imposed this rule. After 20 years on trial and error only, as all the monastics shall be cut off from the evening and depending on the morning meals. So, therefore, it is not a imposing thing. You can undertake that precepts. It is not compulsory. But whenever you feel benefits, you will make it a regularity. Otherwise, you can be contented with the 5 precepts, or without that, you can still practice. It is not a It is not a limiting or critical factor. But benefits are there whenever you put into practice.
Dear Bhante, what is the importance of shaving one's hair? All Buddhist monastics seem to prefer baldness. Is this a requirement? And if yes, why?
So we'll ask another bald person, why is making your head bald?
It's easier. It makes life easier.
Make like?
It makes life easier.
Simple answer.
I agree.
So that not only monastics, now many young males, they have shaven head.
Bald is sexy. I started bald, I was wrong.
Yeah. So you can try, and when you go to Burma and becoming a nun, still you can practice. Many people love their hair, but they can't do it. But later it will grow again, no problem. You can try on temporary basis. It is easier and no other thing.
Dear Bhante, how does a cultivator forgive close family or friends who have taken property, precious valuables and money from them?
Please repeat.
How does a cultivator forgive close family or friends who have taken their property, precious valuables and money from them?
So basically your friends, close by people are hurting you. Simple. Not the robbers. Not the other thing. Buddha says, Tanhai jayati soko. Whenever the suffering happens, it comes from the close by, dear and near ones. Pimato jayati soko. It's come through the affection. So most of this thing comes from the dear and near ones. And very difficult to forgive and forget because of this affection. If a robber is taken, no problem. It's unknown. But when it's there, so you are the person telling that is near and dear one, you are the person suffering. So the Buddha says, do it in a temporary basis, try to get rid of them and see how much you can entertain the solitude, how much you can entertain the contentment, how much you can entertain the pleasure. So dear and near ones, there's a kind of a materialistic pleasure. Amisha sukha. But whenever there is no, there's a niramisha sukha, immaterial kind of a pleasure. And even that is not the final aim. Out of the niramisha sukha, you have to go to the avedaita sukha, it's no feelings. So this one has to replace by other. So therefore, more you have dear and near ones, so much of affectionate, so much of suffering, and problem of forgive and forgetting. So you have to reduce as much as possible. For that you must have a regular timetable, give time for mindfulness, and see whenever you are mindful, even you have that kind of aching and painful thing, where as far as you are mindful, that they can't penetrate into your mindful thought moments. So you can have a break and increase the amount of mindfulness. There you will learn the art of forgive and forget. First and foremost, I would say, you have to forgive and forget yourself. Our main problem is not with the others. We can't forgive ourselves, we can't forget ourselves. So we are the people tortured. And the outsiders are just evidence. So the day you forgive and forget yourself, I would say that's the best loving kindness. When you are sitting, sit comfortably and be happy. And try to be with yourself and as much as possible with sympathy, forgiving and forgetting. And that is the best mindset for the meditation also. Once that is established, easily you can forgive and forget the others. Otherwise, very difficult.
The written questions are over.
So we have taken more 10 minutes, more than scheduled. Any other, before finishing the session, any other questions to the audience?
I had a question about supernatural powers. Is it a noble desire to wish to have supernatural powers? Especially when I'm walking to the monastery from the parking lot, so many arhants, they wrote like they had supernatural powers. They had supernatural powers. As a cultivator, is it the right thing to want to obtain or no?
The supernatural powers basically dealing with materialistic pleasure. They never got the immaterial pleasure or avedita sukha. So it is working in the very low level with the, with the supernatural powers. It's working in with matter, with the material. When you go to the immaterial part, no one can send to Nibbana by supernatural powers. Nibbana or the liberation. So Buddha never gave that kind of a thing to Prince Siddhartha or to his wife or to the father. So they can lead something tangible. So therefore, if you are happy, you can go with Avatar projects in USA, films, Avatar. They wanted to go invisible and kill another person. That's why they are projecting. There's a huge film industry and the thing, you have to be invisible and invincible, and to harm others. So that is simply an avatar project. So if during the time of the Buddha, there's one person called Devadatta, he developed and became the main enemy to the Buddha, do all the kind of bad things, ultimately suffered a lot. Because he got this supernatural power, he can't handle it. He don't have cultured mind. So it is like given a barber razor to a monkey. Barber razor, very sharp thing. If you give, it will damage itself. So supernatural power should have certain amount of personality to hold it and use it in a proper way. Otherwise, Einstein, he told, it is like giving an axe to an uncultured person. That is today, present day, science also the same. They are hacking. They are misusing it because their mind is not cultured. They are handling very sophisticated tools. They can damage. So supernatural power is also the same. And it can do in the materialistic sphere, but very difficult to push someone to the spirituality with this kind of thing. Okay, thank you very much for the participation. We'll take time till 4 o'clock for walking, and at 4 o'clock we'll be meeting here for another sitting session. Thank you very much for the participation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.